Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you once again on Spreecast. It's once again great to see you joining me on myvideolawyer.com, where we will be answering your legal questions and helping you any way we can with your legal concerns and to get you going in the right direction. To start off today's show, I've got a very special friend, an outstanding lawyer, immigration lawyer out of San Diego, California, Mr. Jacob Sapochnick. Jacob, how are you doing today, and welcome to the show?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me, Rich. Pleasure. Exciting.
Well, it's good to have you. It's good to have you on here, and a lot of people know you as the enchanting lawyer because you've got an outstanding podcast where you bring value to your listeners, you bring value to your clients, and on a lot of different topics, not just immigration law, but practicing law in general, and also regarding building relationships online and social media. But today we're going to focus on you, and we're going to focus on immigration law, and we're going to focus on your new book, Jacob. It's titled My American Job, The Foreign Worker's Ultimate Guide to Finding a Job and a Visa Sponsor in the United States.
Right.
And I believe it's available on Kindle. Hold it up for all of us to see. Nice and The American Job, red, white, and blue. I love it. Congratulations, Jacob. I understand Amazon gave you 2 thumbs up, and you got some good news.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, we made it to the #1 bestseller first day, and the hardcover is coming up in a few weeks. So we very exciting about this. It's a project. Took me about almost a year and a half to put it together. The niche we are covering here is, there's plenty of books about how to find a job in the U.S., right? But most people who come in from another country, their biggest problem is that once they go through the interview process, once they know that they need a visa or they're not from here, they say, wait a minute, come back when you have a work visa. But the problem is that the U.S. immigration system is built on the premise that the employer must sponsor you first, and then you get a visa, right? So the book kind of goes through the process of how you can do it, how do you convince employers the different path, the different tools, and some stories of people that went through the system and did it, and including my own story. So it's kind of like a nice closing the circle in a way and giving back to people. And I'm very excited about it. It's
I am too. I was excited. I was excited when I saw it come out, and when you shared it with me. I think it's an awesome tool that are foreign-born persons looking to work in the United States that they need to have access to and easy access to. And I can't wait to share it with my clients, Jacob. Immigration law is an area I know absolutely nothing about. It's just not my area of specialty. You already know you're my go-to referral guy, at least here in Southern California, when it comes to immigration cases, issues. And I just think it's going to be a good tool that you're going to be able to put in people's hands to help people, and that's what it's all about. Let's talk a little bit about the book. I noticed looking at Amazon, which is where it's available right now, in your book you share ideas with foreign-born persons who wish to immigrate to the United States. And I think you mentioned that you show them different ways using the internet and social media to find employment in the United States. What different ways, maybe just a couple of broad brush examples, can foreign persons use or access on the internet and social to find jobs in the U.S.?
So, the reason I mentioned the social tools is because many of these people, they're not even here yet. And they want to come to the U.S. and they are back home and they're trying to kind of penetrate the door. So I always tell people, and like the same way like we talk when we deal with legal marketing, I always tell them you have to start building relationships even before you come here. So we go through tools like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, where you can start following people that are maybe working in companies that you want to work with. Maybe they know somebody who knows somebody on LinkedIn, and you can start building relationship by providing value, by joining conversations on Twitter. And then when you are already in the U.S., I always tell people you have to go to networking events. You have to show your face offline because overseas, countries, let's say in European countries, it's still very traditional the way you look for work. You send a resume, you send a cover letter, you wait. In the U.S., it's really open right now. So if somebody saw you on social, and the example that I don't have in my book because it just happened recently, but I do mention creative ways for example, I had a client who I suggested to him to create a business plan. He was applying to work for a law firm. And I said, create a business plan and show them how you're going to change the way they do business right now. And he came out with this little folder with colors. And it really impressed these people. They gave him a job. A recent case that I want to mention is the story of the girl from Lebanon who wanted to work for Airbnb. I don't know if you heard about this case. But you can Google that. You can Google the case. It's Airbnb a job application. What she did is she tried to apply from Lebanon and not even a single email back. She came here in San Francisco. She couldn't even go through the door of the security. And then one day what she did is she created a website showing Airbnb how they can penetrate the Middle Eastern market. So the website looks kind of like Airbnb, and she shows them in a visual way how they should go to Dubai, how they should go to Lebanon. And she put it online, and then the next day it kind of went viral, and she got a tweet from the CEO of Airbnb, and she says, "It's amazing, we should talk." And she used to work for the Princess of Jordan. She was one of her interns or something. And then the Princess of Jordan herself tweeted back to the CEO of Airbnb and says, "If you don't hire this girl, you're a fool." The Princess of Jordan. Okay? So something like that. So of course, she probably got the job now. I mean, it happened a few weeks ago. But you gotta. And this is the story. This is what the book is all about. She's a foreign person, no chance. So that's kind of like came out very nice, and so that's kind of like what I'm trying to teach people, that you gotta be creative. You gotta use social to get yourself out there. Because once you get the job interview, and then of course I go through the process of telling them what they need to do to tell the employer about sponsorship. Because I tell people you gotta know the process before you go to a job interview.
And let me jump in here real quick, because I want our viewers watching this show, Jacob, to know kind of what we're going to be doing. And during the first part of the show, we're going to be chatting with Jacob about his new book, why he wrote it, the value that it will be adding to you, maybe friends of the family, things like that. The second part of the show, we're going to be answering your specific immigration questions. And I want our viewers to know that, Jacob. Also the recorded viewers. And if you have questions and you'd like to share them with us, you can use the live chat over on the right. You can join us live on video by submitting the camera button, or as several dozen people have already done, you can go to myvideolawyer.com and submit your questions through the email box. I'll get them and then bring them on if they're not already being asked. And also, if you like the show, use the social media buttons to the right to share this show on social, whether it's live or recorded, so that other people can benefit from all the great value that Jacob's has already shared with us and is going to be sharing with us during the show. But Jacob, the example you gave us regarding the young lady from Lebanon and the follow-up tweet or email from the princess, it all comes down to adding value to your employer. It's not what the employer can do for you. It's what you as an employee, as an associate, what value can you bring to your employer? And that's just fascinating. Excuse me real quick. And that's a cool story. I think sharing stories in your book is the way to go about it. Let's do something for me, though, because just broad brushstrokes. You have someone that lives in a foreign country and they're interested in working here in the United States. Without going into all the details, what are the 5 or 6 basic steps that somebody needs to take to legally make that transition?
So basically, it's the key is for somebody who wants to work in the U.S. is really is really about understanding what they can qualify for. So the most common work visa called H-1B requires somebody that has an education, a college degree. So it looks like the U.S. system is encouraging people that are highly educated. If somebody has an education, let's say you want to work as an engineer, you have a computer science degree, then you can qualify to work for a software engineering company as long as they have a job offer available for you and they can go through the process of filing the paperwork. The problem with the H-1B visa in the past several years is that you can only file it on April 1st every year. There's a limited number of visas. And so that's why our immigration system is so problematic, because people are competing for jobs, but there's only few visas. We have only 65,000 visas, and this year they had 3 times the amount of people applying for those visas. So what are they going to do now? Now they have to find other options. Maybe some other visas, maybe investor visas, maybe they have to go back to school, maybe they have to go back home and return the next year. So it's kind of like a game in a way. But the premise is that you must be educated, you have to fit the education requirements of the job, and the employer must be willing to file for a visa for you. So that's kind of like in a nutshell.
And so if I'm living in a foreign country, let's just say I'm college educated or I have some type of higher level education, I want to work for a tech company in the United States, can I then go online? Obviously, I could reach out to you, and I'm assuming you could make all this happen, or I can go online, and if I had the time and the expertise, are there websites that I could go to start the process? Or is this something where you absolutely need an immigration lawyer to hold your hand and walk you through the process because it's so complicated and difficult?
Right. Well, because of the advent of the internet, we have so many resources. You've got a lot of information out there. So most people will start with the USCIS.gov, which is the immigration website, and they have all the information, all the visa options, all the visa categories. But kind of like if you go to an IRS website, it's very complicated. It's very it's very involved. So people will Google and they'll find there are many lawyers that have good websites and they have information. Like our website, there's many of other lawyers that have resources that talk about visas. I've been very fortunate that I've done YouTube videos early enough, and so a lot of our videos rank very high. So we have a lot of videos that explain how to get an H-1B, how to get an E-visa, how to so that's how people will find it right now. But the actual to do the actual thing, you don't need an attorney necessarily to. Yeah, look.
I was going to say, where can they find your YouTube videos?
So if they go on YouTube, the easiest way is to just go on YouTube and just put my name, Jacob Sapochnick, and then my channel will come up, and then we can share it if you want with the viewers and the links at the end of the show. But the easiest way is just go to YouTube, put my name, and my channel comes up. And everything's in there. And of course our website, which is
Well, and you know what? Just in case somebody needs to run and they want to touch base with you, because I want to go into some Q&A, what's the best way for someone to reach out and connect with you right now if they wanted to ask you immigration law questions?
So the best way is to just email me directly at Jacob, Jacob, at h1b.biz, which is our website. And our website has a lot of information. We have articles and all kinds of stuff on it.
Okay. Yeah, the website's fantastic. You do a good job of providing just really good quality information to the consumer and people having immigration-related questions. And that's just the way to practice law, is by helping others. And Jacob, you do a great job of that. Speaking of helping others, let's dive into some questions, okay? People have been submitting questions for the last couple of days to myvideolawyer.com, and in no specific order, but based upon what we've already talked about, let's go ahead and dive in and see if we can answer some of these questions, Jacob. And I've got, a lot of questions, so if you're able to give a short version as opposed to a long version of an answer, it'll allow me to get through more questions. But I'm going to leave that in your court. The ball's in your court on that. Before Jacob and I get started, though, it's really important for everyone to realize that even though Jacob and I are lawyers, the bottom line is we're not your lawyer. So we're not giving legal advice. We're not giving legal opinions. What we're trying to do is just hold you by the hand and get you going in the right direction. And I know in most areas of the law, Jacob, the law is different in different states. The law federally may be different depending on a potential employee's classification. I mean, I don't know. So everybody needs to understand that if they have a legal question regarding immigration, they should contact an immigration attorney immediately in their state who's an expert at immigration law to get their questions answered. So the first question that I see here, and it looks pretty broad, was from a gentleman back in Boston, and he asked, generally speaking, what are the steps for becoming a permanent lawful resident? So I don't know if he's talking about someone that's been here on a visa legally and working, or someone who's in another country that wants to take the steps to become a permanent lawful resident. Are you able to share any insight for this gentleman?
So can you hear me, Mitch?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, typically I tell people there are basically 5 ways to become a green card holder. One way is through family, through marriage, so people can marry a U.S. citizen. The second way is to get sponsored by another family member, like a brother or a parent. The third way is through employment, so an employer can file for a green card for you. And then we have through asylum, where people are applying for asylum because they are fleeing and risk. And the final way is through investment of $500,000 or more through the EB-5 project. So these are the 5 ways somebody can get a green card. Pretty simple. Nothing else.
The investment item you just mentioned, what was that again? To do what?
Which one? The last one?
Something about investing X
Yes.
amount of dollars?
So there is a program called EB-5 where the government, they have a special project where they will accept $500,000 from foreign investors, and in exchange they'll help them get a green card through that program called EB-5. You can also invest $1 million in your own business and get a green card this way. So it's a very popular program. We do a lot of these EB-5 visas, and pretty much it helps the economy and it helps the investors. So, and during the recession, it was very popular because, during the recession, if you remember, Mitch, it was very difficult to get money from builders. Builders couldn't get money to build hotels and land, and so EB-5 was the main source, one of the main sources of getting funding to build projects. Right now, it's still popular, but there's more lending right now, so they're competing with that. But like 3-4 years ago, EB-5 was like the main source of investment. People were like, we want to get those EB-5 people because we need to build, we need to do stuff. And people like myself were getting them the visas to come.
And once the foreign worker, let's just say they contribute this $500,000, do they have any say as to where the money goes, or does it go to the U.S. government to use as the government deems appropriate?
So the money goes into special projects. So let's say we have a real estate project. Let's say we have a gas and oil project. So the government will use those. I mean, these are privately held projects, but they are approved by the government. They're not owned by the government. So let's say, give an example. Let's say we have a project in New York. They want to build a high-rise or something. So they build a project. The investors keep the money there for 5 years as they get their green card. And at the end of the 5 years, they're able to sell their share in the partnership, and they can get their money back. So the money is not lost. That's the beauty of the project, of the process. So at the end of the 5-6 years, there's a pretty high chance that they can get their money back with a small interest.
And it encourages the foreign worker to be successful in the project that he or she is being involved with. If it's a successful project, they get their money back, right?
Well, there are 2 parts to this EB-5. One is that they're actively involved in the project if it's their own project. And there are projects that they don't even have to work in there. They just put their money in there and they can live anywhere they want. And it's up to the projects to make sure it works well. And of course, if they've been approved by the government, most likely they should be okay.
That sounds fantastic. Wow, I learned more from you in the last 15 minutes than I've learned in almost 3 decades of practicing law regarding immigration. And that's what's cool about doing what we do. You learn something new every day. This is just something that's so foreign to me that I'm so glad you're on the show, Jacob. Here's a question out of San Diego, your home stomping grounds. And I'm going to paraphrase, but it says basically what this person's asking is, what is the Visa Diversity Lottery Program? And the second part is this something I should do? I'm already here on a green card. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, but what is the diversity lottery program?
So, well, the diversity lottery is basically it's a program just like the name says, diversity.
I don't
They
know if you
want to
can
make
hear me,
sure
but
that
you
we
froze
have
up, Jacob. So,
a population of immigrants that is not just people from Mexico, from the Philippines, or from India, which naturally, or China, where we have a high percentage of immigration from those. We want to create a nice balance here. People from France, and Germany, and Israel. So the lottery allows people of certain countries, so China, Philippines, and India are excluded because they already have enough immigrants who come here. For example, like Latvia or France or kind of like that, where we don't have enough immigrants, they can play in the lottery. So, for example, you can apply. It's a simple form. They open it in October every year for about a month. You can apply, you don't have to pay anybody. And then in May every year, like right now, we're getting the results of the lottery from last year. And if you're selected, you have a chance to get a U.S. green card without an employer, without a marriage, without investment, just because we have 50,000 visas that they give every year to bring diversity into our immigration community. So it's a pretty cool, interesting program. And I can tell you that my parents, they won the lottery
yeah, no,
several years, 12 years ago. My parents, they got green cards because I did a lottery for them. They had some friends. My parents are from Israel. They live in Israel. And they say, "Oh, my friends, they want to apply. They apply for the lottery. Can you help our friends and yeah, just do it for us as well?" And I did it for them, and none of their friends won it, but they got it. And it wasn't because I did it. It just so it's crazy, but it works. It does work. So it's another way for people to move to the U.S. through the diversity lottery. And I forgot to mention that when we talked about the ways how people can get green cards, the lottery is another way.
okay, okay. Let's
Yeah,
let's.
and it's free. You don't have to pay for it.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, it's. I'm sure you've got information on your website about the diversity lottery program. I hadn't heard of it
Um,
before, but that was
Mitch, I lost the audio, for example.
okay because I can hear you just fine. And
Can you hear me?
yes, I can.
But I can't hear you.
Then just keep talking.
Um,
You're the expert. You know what you may want to do, Jacob, is you may want to refresh your browser because you are having some issues. I'm going to spit you out
I
and bring
can't.
you back in. Hang on a second. Hang on a
I
second.
can't. I can't hear. You hear me, but I can't hear you.
Let's see.
Oops. Let's see what happened.
That's okay. We're here with
Um,
Jacob Sapochnick, the enchanting
let's see.
lawyer. You let me know if you can hear me with your. We've got 3 or 4 more questions to ask. Let me spit you out, Jacob, because you have a bad connection. So I'm going to spit you. Refresh your browser.
Let me see
Watch.
here. Let me.
Let's do this. Let me spit him out, and I'm going to bring him back in.
You can't hear me, right?
See, I can hear you now. I just brought you back in. Can you hear me?
Microphone.
Okay. Hang on. Let's see if we can use technology here. I'm going to put.
I'm trying to find the speaker settings.
Here's a question. You know what? Don't worry about it. Let me put this question up for you
Let's see here.
right here. Jacob, let me see. This is the question. Where did he go? We're going to have Jacob answer the above question.
All right, here we go. I'm back. I'm back.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear now. I can hear.
Oh, okay, because what I did is I just put the question up above for you to read and answer it on the air. Because all that's really important is not what I'm saying, it's your answers. So the next
Sure,
question
sure.
I wanted to share with you is you're here legally, you're working, under some set of circumstances that you described. One of the questions we got in is somebody apparently was here illegally, but let's just assume they're here legally or illegally. They think they're going to be charged with a crime. If this happens, can they be deported? Do they have to be found guilty first? How does that work in the immigration process?
Sure. So, whether you're legal or undocumented, crimes is a big problem for immigration. So, what happens in immigration law, the crimes are divided into different categories. So, we're looking at if it's a misdemeanor, if it's a felony, the number of violations, the duration of time, when it happened. For example, let's say we have a person that committed several crimes when he was younger, and it was in the 80s, and he hasn't done anything for the last 25 years, and now he wants to get some immigration benefits. He wants to become a U.S. citizen, for example, or renew his green card. Well, they're looking at all these factors and say, you know what, he has not done anything, he's been rehabilitated, he'll qualify under some rules. Or, for example, let's say we have a student who committed a DUI, and one DUI could be a problem. He's going to go on probation. He may not be able to travel. It's not immediately deportation. But imagine he gets 2 DUIs. Well, now it's a problem because the 2 DUIs together could be a deportable offense for that student. So usually what we do when we have an immigration client that committed a crime, I always work with a criminal lawyer, because the criminal lawyer will have to give me an analysis as to what this crime is. Can we get it expunged? Can we get it? Can we get some sort of we get some sort of pardon? Can we do something with reduce it? Let's say if it's instead of a DUI, driving reckless, stuff like that. It can help me as an immigration lawyer to avoid deportation. But yeah, crimes. For example, let's say I had a case where somebody committed petty theft. Well, one petty theft, there's an exception in the law from being a removal offense, but 2 of them could be a problem. 3 of them could be a big, big problem. So I work with a criminal attorney to do post-conviction relief to help me when I go back to immigration court to defend my client, because there's things we can do before we go to the hearings. But I definitely tell people that are going through the visa process, try to avoid any problems with the law, because that's going to be hard and expensive for you to fix it.
Great answer. No, great answer. Along those same lines, Jacob, and thanks for that. Above, what happens if I overstay the time limit on my student visa? Same question regarding special work or other temporary visas. So what are the ramifications for somebody that overstays their time limit? And if they do, should they come in and see a lawyer, or what should they do?
So, an overstay of any visa could be a problem. So, for example, and then an overstay of any visa, that's why, immigration law is so complicated, because it's kind of like tax law. Things change all the time. So, when somebody overstays, if they, let's say the student visa, they overstay the student visa, and now they want to apply for a work visa, the H-1B I mentioned to you. Because they have no status at the time of their application, they can't get a work visa. However, the same person, let's say he meets somebody and they want to marry, and he wants to change his status from an expired student to a green card holder. Then they can do it, even if their visa expired. So the law allows what is called an adjustment of status if it's a family case, but not if it's another visa. And people don't realize that. But if that person came here without a visa, and then they want to marry a U.S. citizen, they can't do it from inside the U.S. They must leave and do it through the embassy, through a process. So there's little things, and sometimes we get cases that were handled by lawyers that are not immigration lawyers, and they messed up those cases because they don't know those little things. They tell the person, yes, you can do it. They go to the hearing, and then they get arrested because they're not supposed to do it from here. They're supposed to do it from overseas, right? But they didn't know that because they're not regular immigration lawyers. They're just lawyers that do everything. A bit of immigration, a bit of family law, a bit of, so the little things can be a problem for the client. I always tell people, find a lawyer who does only immigration, like we do. And there are plenty of lawyers who do only that.
Right.
And I think you do the same, right? You only practice personal injury.
Yeah. It's catastrophic injury, wrongful death, and business litigation. We're hired gun trial lawyers. But yeah, those are the only 3 areas. Immigration, I wouldn't even dip my toe in the pond, I'm going to let you handle.
You wouldn't do a divorce, for example. You wouldn't do a divorce case, right?
No. We specialize just like you do, and I think it's the best way to take care of the client. It also lets me sleep well at night, knowing we're doing a good job for our clients. I actually enjoy what I'm doing, so it's win-win for everybody. Along those same lines, though, because I can't even imagine being with a client, showing up at some type of hearing, like you said, in the immigration courts, and instead of the problem being taken care of, the client's arrested right in front of you for violating the law.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not really the type of service you want to provide your client with. Let's change directions real quick. Jacob, for our last question of the show, right above us, how long, and this is submitted by, I don't have the state. I'm not going to mention her name because she didn't check the disclosure box. But how long do I need to live and work in the U.S. before I can, I think it's start the process of becoming a U.S. citizen? Does that question make
Right.
sense to you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, the only way somebody can become a citizen, we have two time frames. One time frame is, say you got a green card because of a family sponsorship by your spouse. Okay. So if a spouse is the one that gave you the green card because of her or him, then it's only a 3 year wait from the moment you got your green card until you can apply for citizenship. But any other way, through employment, through investment, through any other family members, the wait time is 5 years. So the spouse is the only exception. But most people, once they get a green card, they have to wait 5 years before they can apply for U.S. citizenship. That's the
Five
time frame.
years. Okay. And I would imagine it's probably one of the longest 5 years somebody would ever feel like they've waited until it finally happens, and then looking back, it'll be like, wow,
Yeah,
that went by fast because my
they
life's
have
good now, right?
they swear in and they do become a U.S. citizen. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's the that's got to feel good. Have you ever attended any of the swearing in ceremonies for any of your clients or
Yeah,
family or
absolutely.
friends?
I went to quite a few of those, and I still remember my own, Mitch. You know, I'm an Israeli citizen, but I'm a naturalized American citizen now, and I remember my own swearing, which was pretty interesting and an emotional moment to become a U.S. citizen.
It
Absolutely.
it's got to feel good. It's got to just feel
Yeah.
fantastic, not only personally but for your clients too. And Jacob, that's one
Right.
reason I wanted to have you on today's show. Okay, I knew that there were a lot of immigration questions out here. It's been in the news, obviously, at the in both the political arenas, but also in the
Sure.
everyday from an employer standpoint. What's going on out there? Who can we hire? Who can employees work for? And everyone, if you'd like to connect with Jacob before we wrap things up, I'm going to have him share his website, email, maybe phone number with you. Get his book,
Brilliant.
My American Job, The Foreign Worker's Ultimate Guide to Finding a Job and a Visa Sponsor in the United States. And if you have legal questions you'd like to follow up regarding any legal topic, you can share those at myvideolawyer.com each day at noon, depending on my litigation and trial schedule. I'm going to try to come on and answer your questions or bring an expert on who can do that for me. So Jacob, once again, our viewers, if they'd like to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
So I just posted my email down there, which is Jacob at h1b.biz. Our
All
website
right.
is h1b.biz, and I'm on Twitter at Visa Lawyer Blog.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it's
I'll
right
put
there.
it up there.
See it. Yeah.
Putting it right
And
up there.
we have a pretty big Facebook community, one of the largest in the world for any lawyer. And you can upload the Facebook page if people want to share, to check it out.
And you know what? Before we wrap up, share a little bit about that Facebook page. I'm going to put it up on the air above us. Uh, you've got just a couple of people on there actually following what's happening, sharing your immigration related links, reading your immigration related resources. What's that about? What's your Facebook page all about? How many people are connected with you on Facebook, and why did you set it up in the first place?
Well, I was really trying to find a better way to connect with people, not just using a newsletter, but just actually being open and out there every day. And to me, Facebook was really the best tool. Right now, the community has grown over the years. We have about 118,000 fans. And I get a lot of messages every day, hundreds of messages from people asking questions. We do a chat Every 2 weeks, we will share more regularly on the page. But what I put on the page is really not legal stuff. I rarely share our blogs or any offers. I mean, the only thing we've done is read the book, which was the main thing that I brought back to myself. But everything is about, we have quotes, inspiration, I'll put some videos, some questions we ask. It's all about building an engaged community of people that like you as a lawyer. And most of these people refer us a lot of business. And I highly encourage anybody that wants to grow their law firm or just build a little, you can ask questions. People just, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy connecting with these people all over the world, just send you messages, share photos of their families. It's been an interesting experience. And for us, it's nice because I can practice in all 50 states. It's a federal practice, so we serve clients in all states, pretty much.
Well, I'll
It's
tell you
exciting.
what. I'm glad you put some time aside from taking care of your clients in all 50 states and join us today on myvideolawyer.com and on Spreecast, Jacob. For those of you who have joined us or watching the recorded version, I've been speaking with Jacob Sapochnick, aka the Enchanting Lawyer, out of San Diego, California. My name is Mitch Jackson. My firm's Jackson & Wilson. Guys, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to always make today your masterpiece. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Mitch. It was a pleasure. See you soon.
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.